Hey everyone, Dr. Alex here. So today I'm going to be going over how to repair your shoulders for better posture, better muscle balance, and better strength. Now, poor posture is not just a cosmetic issue, there's a functional issue as well. As your posture worsens, and you can see on this picture, just an example of what happens over time. Gravity's always working against you, pulls your shoulders down and forward, and gets progressively worse until you're 65 plus and you need a cane or a walker to support your forward posture. Now, it's not only a cosmetic issue. Someone who's bent over like that, they're putting pressure on their lungs, they're putting pressure on their heart. That can increase blood pressure, reduce the amount of oxygen that you can breathe in. It can reduce oxygen perfusion even in the blood. So it's very unhealthy. It's not something that you want. Plus, someone like that, their balance is going to be poor. They're going to have more propensity to trip and fall. And overall, you want to maintain your posture. You want to maintain a healthy body. And I'm going to tell you how you can do that. And it's pretty easy. It just takes some work. And I'll go over how to do that with some exercises and stretches you can incorporate into your regular lifestyle. Do them. If you have a significant problem, do them every day. And then once you get to a satisfactory level of healthy posture and good feeling, keep it up. Keep it up. Do it, a few times a week. Incorporate it into your regular workout regimen. So let's go over an anatomy review. So the main culprit, well, I wouldn't say main culprit, but typically the muscle that gets tight and pulls your shoulders forward is your pec minor. And on the other side, it's going to be a weak lower trapezius and weak rhomboids, which let the shoulders come forward. Then also you'll get tight neck muscles in the front. They'll be stretched and tight. So it's kind of a paradox, and I go over this later. But the muscles in your back and in the front of your neck, they become stretched. And when a muscle is stretched for a long time, it has a tendency to tighten up. Also, it'll be weak and atrophied. So most people I see this in have very weak neck muscles. They're stretched and they're tight. Same with the back. And the muscles that are short and tight are the muscles of your chest, including your pec minor, which pulls your shoulder forward, and also the posterior neck. So I'm going to tell you how to bring balance back to all these muscles. So let's go over a quick anatomy review. So you can see the pec minor right there connects from the coracoid process to some of the anterior ribs. Looks like 3, 4, and 5. Ribs 3, 4, and 5. So what happens over time, this muscle will get tighter and tighter and shorter. So one thing you're going to want to do, and what I go over, is how to stretch this and some other modalities you can use to loosen it up. And then stretched and weak rhomboids and stretched and weak inferior fibers of the trapezius. So these are muscles you're going to want to strengthen up. Next, a little bit more complicated. You'll have stretched and weak front strap muscles, and then tightened SCM, sternocleidomastoid. So, and these are some of the tight muscles in the back. I'll put this document or a version of it in the description so you can follow along and read it at your leisure. Tight posterior neck muscles. And I have some things you can use. A massage ball. I like the yoga tune-up balls. Some people use lacrosse balls. I think they're too rigid, they're too firm, and they can cause discomfort and actually prevent the muscles from relaxing. So I don't like those, and I don't like tennis balls either, because they'll provide pressure, but it's like all or nothing. Once it collapses, that's it. Yoga tune-up balls, they're softer, they're rubber, but they're still firm at the same time, and it can offer soft yet consistent pressure on your muscles to help them relax. And I'll get into that a little bit later with some live video. And you might find trigger points in your back that you can use the muscles on, including in your rotator cuff to work on. Some trigger points in the neck that you can work on. And I'm going to go through all of these things in a video. So that's coming right up. I'll see you in a second. Hey, so now I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how you can use these yoga tune-up balls, which are soft balls to help massage muscles and restore postural issues. Now, a lot of people like to use lacrosse balls or tennis balls, and these are not ideal. The lacrosse balls are very, very hard. And when you put that over a muscle, the muscle has a tendency to not relax just due to the pressure because it's very, very hard. Additionally, a tennis ball will offer you it's like all or nothing. It'll offer you resistance or completely collapse under a large weight. Now, these things are great. They're soft-ish, yet also firm. And so you can use them like in your pec minor and your serratus anterior, and even part of your subscapularis here. It's kind of hard to get to, but you can use it in there. Serratus anterior being important because often in shoulder injuries I find that muscle is dysfunctional. Maybe it's really tight or not being used properly. So hit up your pec minor in some different areas, which is right below the coracoid process, this bony protrusion right here under your shoulder. So use it on those muscles. Use it on your serratus, and you can use it up in your armpit a little bit too to help loosen up those muscles and then restore function through the exercises. Additionally, if you have some tight spots, trigger points in your rotator cuff or upper back, you can use that here too. And how this works is you put pressure on it and it squeezes the muscle, it puts pressure on the muscle. It's called ischemic compression. And it forces the muscle to relax because you're eliminating the ability of some of the blood flow. You're compressing it, reducing the blood that's going in there, and the muscle needs nourishment to contract. It needs different stuff that's carried by the blood. So if you squeeze that out, the muscle will relax. It might work along some other lines too. I'll have to look into that. But ischemic compression is a well-known way to get a muscle to relax. It's the constant pressure that a massage therapist might put on your lower back or different areas. So you can get the similar result with these balls. Now they're not going to cure everything overnight, but little by little, if you loosen up the muscle and then go exercise the antagonist, the opposite muscle, little by little you'll start restoring that posture. And like I said, it'll take some time, but I think these are great balls. And yeah, use them all over wherever you feel some tightness. Sometimes it'll roll around and you'll find a spot, then roll it a little bit more, hold it maybe 30 seconds in each position. Between positions, take the ball off, let some blood back into the area, and then you can continue. And you can use it on your rotator cuff, your upper back, and of course your pec minors. Okay, well, see you in the next video. Hey everyone, Dr. Alex here, and today we're going to start off with a warm-up. Now the first thing I want you to do is grab a PVC pipe or a broom handle, something along these lines, and we're just going to work the rotator cuff, just some joint movement, some external rotation and internal rotation in this plane, or this angle. So we're going to be pulling out with our hands. Make sure your elbows are at 90 degrees. Pull out and just go back and up a few times. And you want to pinch your shoulder blades back and down while pulling out. Then do it pushing in. So pushing in that way. And do the same thing. Make sure your shoulders holding them back and down. And that's just going to warm up the rotator cuff a little bit. Do maybe 5-6 times each direction, 10 times. And the next thing we're going to do, just before we start stretching, grab a little weight. Start small. If you're not in, your shoulder's not in great shape, and just do some circles like this with some weight. You can start at 3 pounds, 5 pounds, 8 pounds. Just depends on your shoulder, your structure, how strong you are, and your level of dysfunction or injury too, taking that into account. And then grab a few weights and just do some lateral raises all the way up. And you can do the next one on a bench, face up or face down, or a Swiss ball. And I call these wall angels. I'll show you a pic video of it. Like I said, you can do this on a ball, you can do this on a bench. And make sure your shoulders are all the way back, down, back and down. Just to get some warm up in there. A ball might be easier because you can balance your weight a little bit better. Yeah, ball might be easier because you can balance the weight, balance your body over the chest and be a little bit more stable that way. And once your shoulders are nice and warmed up, you feel a little bit, maybe a little bit loose, you feel like the shoulders have been activated, then let's start stretching. And the easiest stretch to do is pec stretch. Now I want you to do this in 3 different angles. You do it up high, medium, and low. And you can do it in a door frame too. So imagine this is a door frame. You just go up and step a little bit forward until you feel a good stretch in there. Hold it 30 seconds. The higher you go, the more it's going to target the subscapularis, which is part of the rotator cuff that goes to the front of the shoulder blade. So 30 seconds high, 30 seconds medium with your upper arm parallel with the floor, and then 30 seconds low. And make sure to keep your shoulder blades down and back. So back and down. Up high, middle, low. And that low position is really going to target the pec minor. And that's one of the things that pulls your shoulders forward and holds you in poor posture. So stretching that is very important. Another stretch you can do for the front of your chest is just put your hands together behind your back and pull your shoulders back. Like that. And make sure you keep your shoulder blades pinned together, shoulder blades down and back. And hold that 30 seconds to a minute. Another thing you can do is practice moving your shoulder blades around. So you want to have good brain-body connection. So move them forward, up and down in this position, move them back, up and down in that position. Just make sure that they're moving well, because you want them to move well. If they're moving well, then you'll be able to utilize the muscles better naturally because you have a better brain-body connection. If you're having trouble with that, then you should practice it all the time. So up and back, up and down from a back position. You push your shoulders forward, up and down like that. All right, so that's pretty basic. Now let's go into a little bit more intermediate or advanced. So this one, you gotta be careful with this one, right? Don't stretch too much. But in that position with the shoulders down and back, put your hand on your hip, and you want to put your elbow on the edge of a door frame or something stationary, and just push your body back so this shoulder gets a stretch in the back. And you want to also keep your shoulders down and back when you do that. I'll give you an example from the back view. Back and down, and push gently on the elbow, gently. You always want to be doing these stretches in the most anatomically correct position, with the exception of one, which I'll get to in just a second. So hand on the hip, right there or behind. Behind's a little easier since you're pushing it forward. It can stretch a little bit better. Shoulders down and back, and just push gently on the elbow against the door frame or something stationary. You'll feel a nice stretch back there, and do it on both sides. I mean, alternatively, you can use your hand too. If you don't have a door frame, you can use the hand. But of course, that's going to be limited by your flexibility. Naturally, my right one, I'm right-handed, is a little bit tighter, so it's a little more difficult. But hold that stretch for about 30 seconds, each side, and you can do it a couple times. Next, it's a variation of this shoulders back, arms behind the hand. So if you have a partner or someone you can use for assistance, I'll use this bar. You can set up something similar in your house. But what you're going to do is get that position and then push against it so you stretch a little bit further. So like here, and then you can walk a little bit forward and you feel more of a stretch. Make sure to keep your shoulders back, not forward. That's not going to stretch the muscles you want. So shoulders back. And if you are inclined, you can buy this posture device from Spud Straps. It's called the bow tie. Highly recommended, especially if your shoulders are loose. Naturally, if your shoulder is loose, the shoulder is going to be more forward just due to gravity and sitting. So this will help pull them back a little bit and put the shoulders in a better anatomical position. Alternatively, you can use a band. But getting that set up is going to be a little bit more difficult because you might not have the structures in place to put it around your shoulder and then do the exercises. Right? You might not have that capability if you don't have uprights like I do or something convenient to do that with. But using one of these, I highly recommend this. Just go to Spud, just search Spud ink, Spud straps, bow tie, and you'll find it. I have naturally loose shoulder joints, so using this, putting it into a better anatomical position and doing shoulder exercises, I find that very beneficial, and you may as well. I recommend it. So just an example, do it again, shoulders back, and then move forward. And you can get creative with it too. It doesn't have to be that one position. You know, you can spread your arms out a little bit wider. Just make sure your shoulders are down and back. And you should really feel a stretch up in here. All right, moving on to some more advanced stuff. So you can really, tread lightly here. Let me grab a band. So using these bands, you can really position your shoulder in a position to target different aspects of the musculature that's most tight. So for example, let's say I want to stretch my rotator cuff. I can put this like here, and it naturally brings the arm back, and depending on how flexible you are and how strong you are, how tight you are, you might want to use a heavier band. I do. And you just put your arm in it like this, and this band, if you put your hand behind the band, it's going to pull your shoulder back, and you can really pinpoint different areas to stretch. So you can stretch your lateral teres major, some of your subscapularis here. You can really lean into it, hold it for 30 seconds, or just move it around, as you feel, you get to a point where you feel, okay, that needs some stretch, and just do that for a little bit. And of course, do it on both sides. If one side a little bit tighter, then you can focus on that one for a little bit longer. But as you can see, you can position your arm a little bit more with more flexibility to target the areas that you want to target that are tight on you. And this one's also a little bit challenging, not necessarily like from a physical skill standpoint, but you could possibly hurt yourself here, so be real careful. Use a really light band if you're going to start. You should be in pretty decent shape to do this. If you're in bad shape, don't try these yet. You can work up to it, but what you want to do is put your shoulder in a position to stretch your rotator cuff again, and you want to keep your shoulder back and down. Wear the posture brace if necessary. And you can really feel a good stretch in your shoulder doing this as well. This light band doesn't really offer me a great stretch, so I'm going to use a little bit more bigger one. And this one, my black one broke, so I don't have an in between. I guess I'll just use this red one. But yeah, you want to keep your shoulder back and down, your shoulder blade. Good. So remember, this would be relaxed. You want to pull it back and down. Then you'll force more of a stretch onto your rotator cuff. And you can stretch your upper back, that's fine. Those muscles typically, with someone who has a postural deformation or postural issue, these muscles are already going to be really stretched. And when a muscle is stretched for a long period of time, it'll get weak and it'll get tight, which is kind of a paradox. However, a stretched muscle, when it's stretched for a long time, will tighten up. So something like that's going to be, it's going to be stretched and tight, right? It's going to be weak and tight because your body tries to pull it back. It's a reflex. So you can work on stretching it, stretch the upper back, lower back, middle back, and upper back. And there's one more stretch I want to show you. It's, well, first of all, you can do the chest this way too, just from the side. Instead of going all the way up, you can get more of the chest. And you can hook it down lower too. to get more of the pec minor, more of the upper chest. Good. And the last one is biceps anterior deltoid stretch. So this one, you want to find out the right position, right? However, this one, if you push your shoulder a little bit forward, you can get a little bit more stretch. This is the only stretch that I recommend doing this with. All the others should be done with a more anatomically correct shoulder position. But if you have really tight deltoids, this one seems to target it a little bit better. So you put your hand out to the side, you can grab onto something. You want to stretch your bicep and the anterior shoulder. And you can move around your shoulder until you find a really good position that offers you a good stretch. And do it on both sides. All right, so we've gone from beginner to somewhat intermediate to somewhat advanced stretching for the shoulder and rotator cuff. Now let's go into the actual exercises to help you repair it. So what you want to focus on initially is the muscles that pull your shoulders back and down, which are your rhomboids and the lower fibers of your trapezius muscle. And there's a few good ways to target them. One of the best ways obviously I haven't used this in a while, it's a little bit covered with dust. Just front raises with a barbell, or if you're not that strong, use something a little bit lighter. I'll often use my barbell, which is a little bit heavier, but I can do that. So you want to find something that you can do, easily with good posture. Remember, shoulders back and down, like 10 times, and for a couple sets, like maybe 2 sets of 10, and every time you do it. If you're incorporating this into a more weight-bearing exercise where you're trying to lift heavy weights, do these at the end as accessory movements. Do your big compound movements first, rows, pull-ups, and then move on to something like this. So barbell high pulls, number 1. Number 2, you can grab some weights. You want to bend over and bring them up just like that with the thumbs up. And you'll really feel that in your lower traps. Now, you may not also, because if you have weak muscles back there and they're really stretched, it's going to take some time before you can get that brain-body connection and really get them utilized. However, stick with it. It may take some time, but it took you some time to get to that position or develop a shoulder dysfunction, so naturally it'll take some time to fix it or reverse it. So from a hinge at the hips, and you would bring your shoulder out to like 45 degrees, right? Not straight back and not straight up, somewhere in the middle there. And thumbs up, just do that. 10 times. And you also want to do it backwards. So you bend down, bend over, and you bring it back like that. And if you can, squeeze it at the top, and you'll really feel it. So those are probably 2 of the best exercises to target your lower traps. Additionally, you can use a band like this. Also as a good warm-up. I'll insert it there too, but you want to just pull it back all the way like that. And don't stop, just to the sides. Bring it all the way back. Because then you can really pinch the shoulder blades together. You can do it low, and you can do it high. And you can use this as well, like this, face pulls. And make sure you're keeping your shoulders back and down. And this will really hit your rhomboids too. So you can do face pulls up to your face or just regular rows. And of course, you can do rows with a heavier dumbbell as well. One thing you want to do, however, instead of gripping it like that, try to grip it a little bit like that. You'll feel it a little bit more in your back. Now remember, this is not a max effort type lift. You don't need to use 200 pounds on it. What you're trying to do is activate those muscles and hold it at the very end. Really pinch them back together. Now, once you've done those larger movements, we can work on strengthening the rotator cuff. Now, what you want to do with this one, there's a couple different positions you can use. Now, the rotator cuff doesn't need a ton of work. You know, maybe 20 reps on each one. So I'll put a couple exercises in here. You can switch them up if you get bored. You have a few different ones to do, and you should do all of them. But the first one, get a band like this. And you just want to keep your arm pinned to the side of your body and just bring it out like that. Remember, shoulders back and down. And do the other side as well. And another one you can do, you want to put this a little bit lower so you have relatively consistent tension throughout the motion. You want to keep your shoulder at about 30 degrees and keep your forearm in line with the band. And then just bring it back. And try to keep your shoulders back and down the entire time. So about 30 degrees, forearm in line with the band. Now naturally, when you're holding your elbow out like that, you're going to be recruiting some other muscles, and that's okay. I forget what this thing is called, however I have it, and it keeps your shoulder in a little bit more stable position so you can really isolate your rotator cuff, which I find valuable as well. In terms of rehabilitation, isolation is not bad because you want to strengthen the individual muscles, right, without having other muscles involved. So doing it not so strict, like without support is okay. However, doing it with isolation is okay too. So you want to do the same thing. This will naturally put your arm in the right position. Keep your forearm in line with the band. You can use a weight too, but I find a band to be pretty good. Bands don't really make you that terribly sore, and they'll provide resistance through the entire motion. If you have a dumbbell up here, you're not using your rotator cuff really anymore, except to stabilize it. It's not holding on to anything. It's not continuing to be used. It's not really under that much tension. But using a band, you'll hold tension throughout the entire motion. So once you've done a few of those, you can do another one here for the back with a band. And you just want to pull your arm all the way back. And remember, shoulders back and down the entire time. You can do this in the actual, larger weight portion when you're working on the shoulder girdle, the rhomboids and the traps. But I like this one a lot too. You can do more to the side. And now we want to work on the subscapularis, which is the rotator cuff in the front. So get that band, and it's going to be kind of light, and you can use a more tighter band if you want. And actually what I recommend is doing your back rotator cuff a few times, maybe like 10 reps, doing the front for 10 reps, and then going back and doing another rotator cuff exercise for the posterior aspect of the rotator cuff. Now, if you want to get a little bit more specific with this, you can do it on the floor, and it takes some of the other stabilizers out, so you'll really only be focusing on the subscapularis. So it's the same idea. You just be on the floor, and you bring it forward and back. And remember, shoulders back and down the entire time. Try to keep everything nice and tight, including the lats, all your rhomboids and everything. But yeah, you're doing it on the back and bringing it forward, so you're like that. I don't want to move the camera around, but I hope you get the idea. You're bringing it forward. And you can even do it with bands if you have an ability to set it up properly, because the bands will provide resistance through every aspect of the motion, even when you're at the complete end range. So that's pretty much it. That'll help you out. Remember, fundamentally, you want to stretch your chest, your pecs, pec minor, subscapularis, And you want to strengthen the posterior shoulder girdle, especially the lower traps and the rhomboids. And then you want to get the rotator cuffs balanced. And once you do that, you're walking a little bit taller. Once you get that brain-body connection with the muscles in the back between your shoulder blades, you'll naturally be keeping them back just because you'll be feeling those muscles. You won't be, they won't be atrophied anymore, and your posture will improve over time. It will take some time, just like it took some time to get that way. So be patient. However, something like this will help you out a lot. And I'll continue this in the next video. I'll see you. All right, now I'd like to talk about the neck. So as we discussed previously, in a forward posture position or upper cross syndrome, these muscles in the front strap muscles, are going to be stretched and weak. These muscles back here, posterior neck muscles, are going to be short and tight. And the SCM is going to be short and tight as well. So what we want to do is reverse that position. So the first thing I want you to do is to start stretching. We want to stretch the tight muscles. So you can stretch the posterior neck just by putting your hands on your head and bringing your head forward. And you play around with position, to find the optimal position for stretch. And hold that for 30 seconds to a minute. And then do the sides too to get the SCM. Now this one you can move your head around to find the right position as well, so you feel a nice stretch in that muscle. Same with this side. You might have to lean your head back a little bit to feel that stretch, just to get the optimal positioning. Good. And one thing I found as an incidental, I know these muscles are stretched and weak. They also get tight. I find a lot of people with tight muscles right under their jaw. So if you'd like to stretch those, one thing you can do is lean your head back and stick your chin forward, like you're doing a little kid's face, And when you do that, you can feel a stretch in there too. And you're mostly stretching these muscles under the jaw, not necessarily the ones that are, the lower ones. However, a lot of people have tight muscles in there, so something like that is going to be beneficial as well. After you stretch, you want to start strengthening them, right? So we want to strengthen these front muscles. One thing you can do that's really easy is just put your hands on your forehead and move your head forward. Now, keep in mind, you want to be pivoting at the top of the neck, base of the skull. All right, you're not doing like a woodpecker. You're bringing your chin to your chest. And you can do that, maybe 10 times, 2 sets of 10. And you want to strengthen the back of your neck too. Now, sometimes, a lot of people with forward shoulders or upper cross syndrome, those muscles are really tight. So instead of bringing your head all the way back like that into the position of tightness, you want to bring your head just straight back and just apply constant pressure. Just bring your head straight back. Keep your chin low and bring your head straight back. Another way you can do this is with a band. So you got these handy bands here. You can put it on the front of your forehead and just lean forward with your body, and then you'll really start feeling like these muscles are getting engaged. And you can turn to get the other aspect of the neck. And then you can do the back of your neck. Remember, you don't necessarily need to do it, like bring it all the way back, although eventually you will want to. But for the purposes of rehabilitation and balancing, just bring your head straight back. And keep your chin a little bit lower. Keep your chin a little bit lower and just push back under tension with a straighter neck. You'll find that to be the best way to strengthen those muscles for balance. Another thing you can do is yeses and nos. So let me show you how to do that. Let me move the camera. So essentially, you're just nodding your head yes and turning your head no. So, find a bench. If you don't have a bench, you can do it on a flat surface. A bench will allow a little bit more range of motion, so that's nice. But remember, you want to pivot at the top of your neck, lower base of the skull, and just bring your chin to your chest. You'll find pretty quickly that this will really activate these muscles, and you might only be able to do 10, but do Do as many as is comfortable until you feel that feeling, and then do it, a couple times a day. And then as far as the nose, from this position, you want to move your head to the left, like you're turning, and then to the right, like you're turning it no, like you're saying no. If you really want to get advanced, and this is easy, you can put some more tension on there, but for most people, just the weight of the head is going to be enough. So that's how you can restore muscle balance to the neck. Now that's about it. I think I covered all the bases. Remember, this is a rehabilitation program. If you're feeling like your posture is really bad, or you're dealing with a shoulder injury, or you really want to work on your posture, then I would do this only this type of rehabilitation until you're in the position where you feel comfortable, your shoulders feel solid, they feel healthy, they don't hurt, and your posture is good. Over time, as you continue to work these posterior shoulder muscles, you'll start noticing them more. You'll be able to feel them more. And when that happens, you'll naturally be carrying your shoulders a little bit back because you'll be feeling all those muscles all the time. So that will naturally, once you wake those muscles up and really get them utilized and increase that brain-body connection, you'll really start feeling them. And then you'll naturally want to hold your shoulders back just because it feels more normal. So that was it for the program. Once your shoulders are nice and strong, you can get back to your regular type of weightlifting or exercise. Or if you just want a little bit of help, you can do it concurrently. But like I said, if you're in bad shape, if your shoulders are painful, or if your posture is really bad, just stick with this specific workout and it'll help you a lot. So that was all. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. That'll help me out a lot so I can reach more people and I'll be more inclined to bring you more stuff, more motivated. So please like and subscribe. If you're looking for, if you're coming here from the internet and you're looking for a chiropractor in the Silicon Valley area, I'm your guy. I do a great job and I know my stuff. So link will be in the description. I'll have a lot of this video in a document that summarizes everything also in the description. But that's it. Like and subscribe. Hope this helped you out and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.